Hi, my name is Shannon Mullen. I am the author of In Other Words, Leadership: How a Young Mother's Weekly Letters to Her Governor Helped Both Women Brave the First Pandemic Year. This is a story at its core that is about human connection, in this case between a woman governor and one of her constituents who lives on a remote homestead in basically the center of Maine, a small town called Temple. The woman's name is Ashira Knapp, and she wrote a weekly letter to Governor Mills for pretty much the first year of the pandemic, after the governor's leadership in Maine sparked fierce controversy. Ashira felt she wanted to make a sustained show of support, so she continued writing every week. And when the governor told me about these letters, she mentioned that she had just received what would be her final one, and she got emotional. She told me about that, and I thought that was remarkable, that here was a governor who, we don't usually think that we can reach our politicians. Not only had she been reached, but she'd been moved, and said the letters kept her grounded. I asked to see them, and all the bells that go off in my head when I found a story I want to tell were going off as I read them. They were hilarious and heartbreaking and joyous and sometimes dark, all the things we all felt during the course of the pandemic. And I asked if the governor had written back. She had a few times, and I knew that I was going to need more of her voice if I was going to craft a story. So I asked if she had kept journals, and she had, and was willing to allow me to excerpt them to complement the letters. I wrote most of the book in about an 8-month period, sitting here at this little desk, usually starting each chapter of the book, which comprises about a month, by reading the letters and the governor's journals and most of one or both of Maine's 2 largest newspapers for each day. I rewatched Maine's CDC Director Nirav Shah's press conferences, which were sometimes funny, sometimes grave, always enlightening and often amusing, and all sorts of press releases, and listened to the governor's weekly radio addresses, which I think is something of a novelty. The result is a story that I think you're going to want to read, as opposed to something that you feel you should read. It is a story of civility and compassion. It's a story of what unites us despite our differences. It's a story for Democrats and Republicans and independents, men and women from any place, far from Maine or very nearby. And I'm really excited to put it out into the world at this particular time, as we're working through what we learned from the pandemic and also how to come together despite our differences. I hope you enjoy it. I think it'll make you laugh. It might make you cry. Either way, thank you very much for watching, and enjoy reading In Other Words, Leadership.